Yo, what it do, fam? It's your boy, Divine Iconoclast, coming at you again with a rather cringy intro. Today we're going to be reviewing an album, something that I do quite frequently, and we're going to be reviewing a band that a lot of people have reviewed this album, but, like, I guarantee you thousands of videos are on YouTube right now, like, hey guys, today we're going to be reviewing the new Amon Amarth album. Oh, it's a 9 out of 10, it's really melodic. Yeah, it's like, I mean, sure, yeah, I'm going to be reviewing it, because I'm generic and not interesting whatsoever. I have no original opinions, so I'm going to have to Google really quick the Blabbermouth. Oh, yeah, let me do that one really quick, okay? 11 albums into their career, Amon Amarth continued to be a powerhouse of heavy metal. Coming off the success of 2016's concept album, Jomsviking, the veteran Swedish melodic death metal act returns with Berserker, a ferocious collection of brutality and melody. From the adrenaline-fueling drum work to the shredding guitars to singer Johan Hägg's vocals, Berserker is bound to get listeners headbanging throughout its runtime. False. This album? It exists. Okay. On to the actual review now. I just want to say that I do feel a little bad reviewing this album because it's so popular, and I hate popular things. But I didn't hate this album, actually. Here's the real lowdown. That was kind of a hyperbolic, wanting you to buy the album kind of thing. I'm going to tell you how it really is, okay? By the way, yes, I did actually Google something and read it if it wasn't obvious enough. If you like Amon Amarth, you'll like this album. I like Amon Amarth, so I liked this album. It's pretty simple, actually. If you're not sure about Amon Amarth and you listen to this album and you like it, you'll like Amon Amarth. If you listen to this album and you don't like it, you're probably not gonna like Amon Amarth. And if you don't like Amon Amarth, stay 5,000 feet away from this album because this album adds literally nothing new on it. I listened to this thing all the way through, and there was not one new and interesting thing that I hadn't heard in another Amon Amarth song before. Okay, fair enough. They even copied one of their songs off of Twilight with the Thunder Gods. There's this song called "The Varyags of Miklagard" or something like that. Miklagard, maybe, I don't know. It's Norwegianese, I think, so I don't know it. And they ripped off that exact same kind of pattern for the guitars and drums for their song "Crack the Sky." And yeah, like I said, there's nothing new on this. It's kind of hard to come up with things to say just because I'm basically going to have to talk about how Amon Amarth sounds. I will say that my favorite part about this album, definitely the guitars. So many badass, heavy, brutal riffs. Also, a lot of really melodic riffs too, and that's what I really like about Amon Amarth, and just kind of the whole melodic death metal genre as a whole, is that whenever it wants to get heavy, it'll crunch you, it'll get you down on the ground, it'll be super heavy, and whenever it wants to be more melodic and lift you up and make you feel like you're grand, boom, it does that. I will admit that the heavy stuff on this album is kind of generic, although it's kind of been always the way like that with Amon Amarth. I've always found the melodic stuff to be more interesting, but it's still there, and oftentimes it comes in right whenever you need a break from all the soaring guitar lines. My least favorite songs from Amon Amarth are usually the ones that are super heavy all the time, just because I feel like they don't do it very good. It's kind of generic. I'm gonna go to the production. Just for a brief moment. The production is fantastic. I have literally zero complaints. You can hear the bass, the drums are punchy, the guitars are nice and loud, the vocals cut through the mix really nice. Good job production-wise. My biggest complaint about this album is, well, other than the fact that they don't experiment, is that a lot of the songs in this album kind of have a metalcore feel to them. I can't really describe it in words, but if you listen to it and you know what metalcore sounds like, you kind of just oh yeah, it does. The biggest offenders of this are Fafner's Gold, Skull and Haiti, and Wings of Eagles. Those songs have extreme metalcore vibes to them, with other songs having kind of lesser metalcore vibes to them, like Mjolnir, Hammer of Thor, and Raven's Cry. They kind of have a bit of a metalcore vibe to them, but not nearly as much as the previous 3 songs I mentioned. I'm no fan of metalcore. I started listening to it, and I was like, oh, Really? I was also really disappointed whenever the first single came out for Raven's Cry. Whenever the first single, Raven's Cry, came out, and I heard that. And then the second single, Crack the Sky, came out, and I was really, really disappointed, and I thought I was going to hate this album going into it. Luckily enough, you know what? This album, it's pretty good, you know? Well, I shouldn't say pretty good. But, you know, the drumming on the album, from a songwriting perspective, is also it's pretty boring. Like, there was almost never an interesting fill that I liked a lot on the album. There was a couple of them here or there, but not really anything of note. The solos, the guitar solos on the album, also pretty boring. I never really listened to a guitar solo on the album and said, wow, that really added something new and interesting to the song. Kind of just built off already previous themes, pretty generic solos, nothing amazing. They weren't ever really at areas of high tension either. It's kind of like, oh yeah, well, we're done with the second chorus, so to get to the bridge, you kind of have to have a solo here. Which is another main issue I have with this album, is that the songwriting is pretty generic. It almost never breaks any traditional Amon Amarth mold. There's a couple exceptions to this. But overall, songwriting's pretty generic. And I know I seem to be ragging on this album a lot, and I kind of am because I wanted it to be a lot more than it is. But this is basically just Amon Amarth album. You know, this is like this album is just this is exemplified. This is like the Amon Amarth album. If you want a sound on how, if you want an album that says, hey, here's how Amon Amarth sounds, without any of the interesting stuff that made the other albums cool, you go to this album. The album still works because it's still the Amon Amarth sound, which is something that I like. But overall, I feel like they could have done a lot more with this thing. My favorite songs on here: Mjolnir, Hammer of Thor, Valkyria. That one's really, really good, actually. When Once Again We Can Set Our Sails, and Into the Dark. My least favorite songs in here: Crack the Sky, The Berserker at Stamford Bridge, and Skull and Haiti, one of the really metalcore ones. That song is probably the worst one on the album. It's either that one or Crack the Sky. I really hated that song. Yeah, so in conclusion, if you like Amon Amarth, you'll like this. Really nothing new and interesting on the whole album. But if you want more of the same old stuff, go ahead. I can see this formula getting really boring. I feel like if they release this album again next time for their next album in 3-4 years or whatever, I'll probably give it a lower score. But for right now, I'm okay with this. Overall, I'm going to have to give this a 7 out of 10. Make sure to tell me why I'm wrong down in the comment section on why this is bad and or good. Maybe it's just average, you know, maybe you're like, oh, this album's actually a 5, and you know what? I'll respect your opinion. I feel like anything higher than an 8 and anything lower than a 4 on this album, I really can't justify. But anything in between there, I'm okay with. And if you do put anything in the comment section, because I know a lot of people watch my videos, if you put anything in the comment section between, you know, like 1 to 3 or 9 or 10, I will leave you the meanest hate comment of all time. I will rip into you, I will fucking eviscerate you, and quite frankly, I'll probably just end your career, you know? You know that meme? It's like, oh boy, I'm gonna go end this man's career. You know that meme? You know that meme? That's gonna be me to you. In fact, I'm gonna roast you so hard that the prospect of you not killing yourself is almost unthinkable. Anyways, this is me, the one, the only, Divine Iconoclast, reviewing an album that everyone else has already reviewed for the views. Also because I wanted to listen to this like Amon Amarth. And then I can just do this and it takes no time. Anyways, so listen really quick. If you know any e-girls, have them hit me up. I'm really lonely, okay? It kind of sucks being, I'm in summer break right now and I just sit in my room all day and, you know, just listen to music. I have a couple friends, but we only hang out like once or twice a week, and, you know, it's pretty, people are, my family's at work, I just got some dogs and idle music to listen to, so if you know any e-girls that can hit me up, I'll send dick pics or whatever, it's fine.